Okay, hello everyone. So today I'll be talking about how to code a motor. Last time you learned how to code a servo. So motors are a little bit different than that. It's a little bit more complex, but then again, there's a lot of the same concepts. So hopefully it'll be easy to learn as well. So with the motors, let's just start off with what the motors are. So there's two types. So basically for FTC you're going to be using DC motors, and DC motors can be like rev motors like this, or rev robotics motors, or they can be go builder motors, which is like something like this right here. So if you notice in some of the in most of these motors, there is a connection right here. So this is called a power plug connection. So this power plug, if you look into our control hub, does not connect directly into a control hub. So as you can see here, these are the ports for the motor. The motor has something special with it that is not included in the servo, which is called an encoder. So if you see right here, there's a spot for an encoder wire to come. So here, let me show you that. So here you can see here's an a little bit ruined, but here's an encoder wire. So with this encoder wire, you can plug it straight into this port. And what an encoder really is that it measures the amount of degrees, the amount of turns that the robot does, or that the motor does. So it sends that information um, to your driver hub, and it sends it to your computer where you're actually running the program. And there it'll tell you where the robot is on the map. So an autonomous, if you give it the encoder values, then it'll be able to map itself on the map and it'll know where it is, which is really important with motors. So with the power plug, as I said before, you don't directly connect it into the control hub. So you have to buy, or you may go with one of these power plug to JVC cables. So these cables have a power plug and this JVC port extension right here, which connects directly into the control hub. So if you see here, if we connect the two power plugs can just slide straight in together, and we have this motor which we can connect directly into our control hub, just like this. So now you have the connection for them from the control hub to the motor. So you don't want to use these ones down here. These are the servos, and these are for cameras. These are for other sensors, and these are for the actual motors. So now let's turn this on and let's show how to code it. Okay, so as we can see here, this is the FTC SDK that we were using for the servo programs as well. So the first thing that I would suggest before you actually start looking into code is on your driver hub, there would be a three button option in the top, and here you go to click configure robot. In the configuration, you would either have a configuration or you have to create a new configuration. So as you can see, there's available configurations. You can press edit, and here there's the options of a control hub portal and the webcam. So you want to click on the control hub portal, click through the control hub, click on motors, and if you see here, I've already preset the motor into this. So you want to put in the code, you want to put in the name of your motor that you want to name it, which will also be in the code, and you want to select which type of motor you actually have. After you're done with that, the control hub will know, and the driver hub will know that there's actually a motor there where you're saying it to be. So my motor is in port 0. So now that we have our everything configured, now we'll look into the code. So in the code, this is the code for a program to run where the if you press the buttons on your controller B or X, the or no, if you move the joysticks up or down and left to right, the other one left to right, then it would ramp up the motor speed or ramp down the motor speed. So it would either go reverse or it would go forward. And the more you push with the more pressure you put on the joystick, the faster your motor will actually move. So let's see. So if you had to look through the code, here are some of the variables that they're defining right here. So this is the maximum power, and this is the amount to ramp out motor after each cycle ms cycle. So let's look through this. Here we're naming it left drive. So if you saw in my configuration, I named my robot left drive. You have to name your robot what's in the configuration. Obviously, you can change what's in the actual configuration itself, what's in the code, but what is in the code and what's on the robot has to be the same, or they're gonna get an error that says that it doesn't know what the motor is. So let me give you an example of how this code works. So I've already modified this code. So basically, what you'd have to do is since I only have one motor currently on my robot, this one is for two motors, I believe. So you'd have to put it into Rev Hardware Client and edit it a little bit. But after that, you should be ready at the point to start actually running your program. So let me initialize the motor drive. So yeah, initialize and start. So as you see here, nothing has started yet, right? It's initialized and it started. It hasn't done anything. What you're gonna have to do is now if you see on my controller, so let's just take the screen a little down here. So if you see the two joysticks right here, and here's the motor. Okay, so you'll hear it when it spins. It's currently no wheel. Okay, look for the wheel. But currently there's nothing in the motor right now. So yeah, so here. So we'll put this in the motor. So here's a wheel, so you can see it when it spins. So if I move it a little slightly forward, if I move this one slightly forward, it's gonna go very slow, as you see here. If I go really fast, it's gonna go a lot of pressure. If I put a lot of pressure on the joystick, it's gonna go very fast. And I'm gonna go reverse slowly and reverse fast. So this is how you code a motor in the teleop versions. So in teleop, this is how you would code the motor to ramp up the speed to go forward, backwards, and obviously you would create a drive chain and connect all the robots together so they're all working in the same consciousness and can all work together to have the robot move at the same time. Hopefully, you guys learned how to code a motor from this. And if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments. And until next time, thank you.